What is your ultimate goal? And if your ultimate goal is happiness, you're going to be miserable. And the reason why is because you can't be happy all the time. You can find happiness and then you'll be happy about being happy for a second and you'll be sad about being not happy.
Happiness isn't just going to spawn out of nowhere because you want it to. That's why it's so hard to plan for happiness when you don't have a goal. You need to have something where you can feel that sense of accomplishment.
The journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination. And I think that a lot of our culture has it flipped. Our dad is going to officially be an old person turning 40.
Yep.
And so he's doing something special for his birthday party. He's going to be dedicating it to a GoFundMe campaign for our friend Jed's dad to get a new knee. And the reason why is something that we want to talk about because I think this kind of relates to how do you actually find happiness? And this is something that kind of was funny for me to reflect on because when I was younger, I had a lot of very miserable birthdays because I was trying to make myself
perfect.
Yeah, I was trying to make myself happy for my birthday.
Yeah.
And I remember one such example where my dad was teaching all my friends how to moonwalk just spontaneously. And I'm like, this is my birthday party. I didn't say that I wanted to moonwalk.
This.
And so I was just crying in my bathroom while everyone else was moonwalking.
And I think it's a little bit more, because it sounds silly, but like when you have this vision of like what you want and you expect yourself to be really happy and it to be perfect and it to be exactly, obviously you can't make that happen because humans are humans and sometimes humans want to learn how to moonwalk. And
I think it's also like, how do you actually spontaneously make anything a happy experience? I feel like a lot of what people do when they plan vacations is like, oh, what's the perfect experience that's going to make everything perfect so that I'm finally happy? And then they're just like arguing with their kids on the plane and just miserable the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, like we went to India and got an Airbnb for $15 a night and it was like not the cleanest thing.
I was like
very
hot water,
I was kind of sick the whole time because it was really dusty and I'm allergic to dust mites, but we had a great time. We were doing pillow fights. It was like, okay, well, it's 115 degrees outside, so the cold water in the shower is actually a good thing. Look on the bright side.
And it's also like because it was spontaneous, you didn't have a reason to be let down.
Yeah.
It was an adventure. And I think if you plan something and have this vision of what you're going to feel, it's not good because then you can be let down. And usually it's not going to work out exactly how you want. And you're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of what it's like. I think what people might have to think about in terms of like, if you're trying to plan this vacation to like escape from your life, then I don't think that's really happiness. I think that's relief. I think
it's relief if you're lucky.
Yeah, and I think that I think it's not a good way to approach it in terms of like, what is your ultimate goal? And if your ultimate goal is happiness, you're going to be miserable. Yeah. And the reason why is because you can't be happy all the time. You can find happiness and then you'll be happy about being happy for a second and you'll be sad about being not happy. So that's just kind of how it goes. And I think that this also relates to...
Well, it's kind of how it goes if you're planning just for happiness, which is really, really hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is why, Jordan Peterson talks about how you want to seek adventure. It's like, what's adventure? It's a higher calling. It's something more than just your base, in the moment desires. Yeah. Right? And that's something that's just incredibly important. And I think that's the reason why, our dad was thinking about, what do I actually want for my birthday? And so he's like, I want for Jed's dad to get a new knee, to, have the money so that he can actually walk. And that's going to be, better for, cause Jed's an amazing person. He and Tara, we met them and they've been helping us write our new book. And he's taking care of 3 people in wheelchairs. Yeah. Including Tara and his dad. Yeah. And it's just like, that's incredible. And honestly, it's just like,
I can't imagine.
Yeah. He's an incredible person. So it's like, okay, our dad was saying like, that's what I want for my birthday. Not whatever like fancy schmancy party is going to make me happy for a millisecond, and then it's going to be gone. You know? And I think that that's something that's really important in today's world, where a lot of the meaningful pursuits that that were very evident and easy to find back when it was clear how your actions influence your immediate community, and now that's just harder to find. But I think that is also really, really important to cultivate.
Yeah.
And so I started writing a book when I was 12, in, I think this was 2022, sometime in 2022, called The Center Point of Happiness. I never finished it. I have a couple of the chapters published on WEquil App.
Sumay, the fact that you started writing a book at 12 about meaning and happiness is, you don't need to.
Yeah, fair enough. But this is the first paragraph. The never-ending challenge will always be achieving happiness, partly because it's something we all desire, and partly because it is, and always will be, impossible. The human condition renders us with the reality that we will never always be happy. Such things are fleeting, and the fact that they are gives it value. So given that, happiness, as a goal, is illogical unless you would like to be miserable. But if happiness is not the goal, then what is? Yep. Yeah. So I think that part of the reason why it's like, Tony Robbins has this quote, which is, you can face a challenging today for a compelling tomorrow. And I think it's about how do you kind of craft those meaningful pursuits. And I think that part of it is that if you have something that is meaningful to you, then you can just make the really simple things bring you happiness. Yeah. Right. And I think that this is it's just kind of so antithetical to a lot of today's culture, where it's about like materialism and this consumerism of like everybody on social media posing around of like, look, I got this new house or whatever, and look at me, I look so happy, and it's just, I think that part of what is people aren't necessarily realizing is that by looking through these feeds and at these people who are promoting those kinds of values, you are training your subconscious to think that that's what's going to make you happy. And so you're just going to automatically feel as though you're kind of training yourself into that kind of mindset, whether you're aware of it or not. And that's just incredibly harmful.
It is. And if you're doing that, then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. because like I really like birthdays and I really like holidays. But I have learned not to focus on what I'm getting, and I'm still working on this. Like, I have learned, and I know the answer is no. But I think if instead of focusing on the plans and what you're getting, maybe focus on having an adventure, or like having some goal to focus on is really helpful. Like, doing the fundraiser, or maybe if it's even like planning an event for you and your friends to go and do something fun. Just those little things, instead of just, this is the day where I'm happy. You know what I mean? You want to have something to focus towards, and then you can have that sense of accomplishment. Happiness isn't just going to spawn out of nowhere because you want it to. And like, theoretically you have all the things that, make you happy. You want to have something. That's why it's so hard to plan for happiness when you don't have a goal. You need to have a goal. You need to have something where you can feel that sense of accomplishment. And that's one reason why I really like to do things like cooking and, singing songs, learning something that you really enjoy and you are passionate about.
Yeah, it is something that I think happiness is counterintuitive in a lot of ways, because you're talking about goals. But a lot of people, I think, misinterpret that to set such a specific goal, where it's something like, oh, once I achieve this, then I'll be happy. When in reality, once you achieve that goal, this is something that Scott Adams talks about, where he talks about prioritizing systems over goals, because once you achieve a goal, your motivation is gone. What are you going to do now? Yeah. Right? And then everything that was driving you is just gone. And so oftentimes once you achieve your goal, you just feel aimless and anxious because you don't know what to do anymore.
Well, I think it depends on what was driving you towards that goal.
I think it also depends on how broad that goal is too. Yeah. Because if it's something that's like a mission, like you were saying, like a mission is not specific. You never achieve a mission. it's an aim, right? It's something where you're cooking because part of that is like you're bringing happiness to your family. It's not something that you're just like done cooking. What? Like, no, you keep doing it, right? And that's not that kind of goal where it's like, this is the thing that I'm looking for, and once I achieve it, that's the end all be all.
I think the type of goals you're talking about is the goal where you're starting out thinking that the goal will bring you happiness, and the goal is the goal of happiness.
Well, that's something in Peaceful Warrior where he talks about how the journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination. Yeah. And I think that a lot of our culture has it flipped.
And instead of you are doing this because you believe it'll make you happy, you're doing this because you think the outcome is beautiful. And like, okay, obviously, like with cooking, I think it'll make me happy because I like food and I'm hungry and I need something yummy to eat.
Yeah.
But also the art of just creating something really delicious that you've never made before, and seeing other people's responses to it, and seeing other people liking your food, making some sort of art or something where you understood something and created something. You're doing this for the goal of creating that thing, right, or doing that thing, not because you want, not because the goal is happiness, but the goal is to create something really cool.
I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to share your socks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I'm learning how to crochet. Please don't judge. These are one of my first creations. These are the most
amazing thing that you will ever see in your entire life.
They're called I made these slippers.
Slipper sock things, and they are amazing. I have a pair too, and they're the best thing ever.
I do really love them. They're very comfortable. Even they're quite ugly.
I think they're beautiful. It's like it's so ugly, it's cute kind of situation.
Yeah, but I really like these, and they bring me so much joy because I think they're really nice and they're cool.
I feel like that's a perfect example in terms of just the simple things that actually do make you happy.
Yeah,
and that's something that we've just kind of experienced over and over again. Like you told the story in a previous podcast on how like we were just singing in a swamp because we were just trudging through a swamp and just started singing.
It's a long story.
Sunshine.
Yeah, it's a long story, but we got stuck in a swamp,
and that was like the best part of the trip was when we were in a swamp in the rain,
trying
lost,
to get out,
cold, and
almost singing.
Almost
I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh,
makes me feel good. Yeah, and so it was like literally losing our shoes every few minutes in the mud. Yeah, and that was like we were just having the time of our lives. We were
terrified of maybe snakes being there. But, but it was like, it was so much fun because we were just experiencing the moment and just like, I don't know how to describe it.
And it's like, and then you're walking around like these amusement parks and you see families that just look miserable,
where you're supposed to be happy,
and then a lot of people just look sad. They're just like,
oh my god,
the lines are so long. Oh my god, the food here sucks. And it's like,
oh my god, Jimmy, just be quiet. We'll be on the ride in a moment.
Yeah,
I feel like all of it. The whole experience is chasing happiness, chasing that moment on the ride, just chasing the being in an amusement park in the first place, and being happy because an amusement park equals happiness. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why, like, I'm just really appreciative because one, our mom grew up in poverty in the countryside of China, where basically she just like it was planting rice so that they would have enough food. Yeah. And then our dad had Amish grandparents that had arguments about whether or not they should get a TV. Yeah. Where they were like more watered down version of Amish.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
so
they're still Amish.
Yeah. And so that was a lot of what was instilled into them from their upbringings, was this understanding that these material possessions aren't going to make you happy. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of the reason why this is what we're planning for for our dad's birthday. This is something that we've also seen, you know, just visiting family. We put on a concert for our family, and then basically I think the best part of it,
yeah, just, you know, strumming on the ukulele and singing songs.
And I think the best part was when everybody in the whole family all wore like little pigtails, including all the dudes. They had their little pigtails too,
all the dudes who had
we
hair.
all took a picture, and that was just like, you know, it was just something that's simple. And it was creative and it was fun, and I think that that's what actually is what helps people to actually come together and find meaning and happiness and that kind of joy that comes with that connection over something that doesn't have to be fancy or even special, really. And I think that's really what we're trying to cultivate in our lives, but I think that we can do together, and that's why, you know, I think if anyone here is interested, you can go to the GoFundMe to donate to Jed's dad. I think that this is really what we kind of want to spread the message as, is like, you know, this is how you find happiness. And I think that's really great. I think that means that something about the world is right and good. It's the fact that being selfless and actually helping others does mean that you will be more happy. And I think that says something that should make us optimistic about humanity and the future in our lives.